The ion storm had been screaming across Kessel, 7 for 6 hours straight. Purple lightning cracked the sky like broken glass, and the wind carried enough charged particles to fry any electronics left exposed. Leo Hartwell had seen bad weather before, but nothing quite like this. That he sat alone in his repair shop, surrounded by half-fixed mining drills and scattered tools. The lights flickered every few minutes. His small radio crackled with static instead of music. Outside, the world had turned into a howling nightmare of dust and electricity. Leo was 34 years old. He had served 8 years in the Colonial Engineering Corps before deciding that war was not for him. Now he fixed machines for miners on this distant rock, and he preferred it that way. Quiet work. Simple problems. No one shooting at him. That he was about to heat some soup when he heard it, that a scratching sound. Then a soft whimper. That it came from the back loading dock, where he received shipments of parts and supplies. Leo grabbed a heavy wrench and moved slowly toward the noise. Could be a rock rat. Could be something worse. The frontier had plenty of creatures that would happily eat a human if given the chance. He pushed open the dock door and froze. Lying in a pool of dark blood was the largest wolf-like creature he had ever seen. Silver blue fur covered its massive body, for powerful legs ended in claws that could tear through metal. Its snout was long and filled with teeth designed for killing. That a karate. Leo had heard stories about them. Apex predators from the Outer Rim worlds. Dangerous beyond measure. Colonial guidelines were clear. If you see one, run. If you cannot run, call security. If security cannot come, pray. But this karate was not hunting. It was dying. Plasma burns covered its side. The fur singed away to reveal raw flesh beneath. One of its front legs bent at a wrong angle, clearly broken. And its belly. Leo noticed the swelling immediately. This creature was pregnant. The karate looked at him with eyes that held something unexpected. Not rage. Not hunger. Fear. And beneath the fear, something that looked almost like hope. Every survival instinct told Leo to back away. Close the door. Call colonial security and let them handle this dangerous animal. That was the smart choice. The safe choice. Leo had never been very good at safe choices. That he knelt down slowly, keeping his movements calm and predictable. The karate watched him but did not attack. Up close, he could see the wounds were fresh. Someone had shot this creature. Someone had tried to kill it. Easy, Leo said softly. I'm not going to hurt you. The karate's ears flattened against its head. A low growl rumbled in its throat, but it was weak. More warning than threat. Leo reached for his emergency medical kit. It was meant for humans, but some supplies might help. Bandages, antiseptic, painkillers. He would need to be creative. That he worked slowly, cleaning the plasma burns as gently as possible. The karate flinched, but did not bite him. Its breathing was ragged and shallow. Without help, it would not survive the night. Who did this to you? Leo muttered, more to himself than expecting an answer. The karate's eyes locked onto his. And then something impossible happened. Its mouth moved. Sound came out. Rough, broken, barely recognizable, but unmistakably words. Hide. Leo stopped breathing for a moment. Karate were animals. Dangerous, intelligent animals, but animals nonetheless. They did not speak. They could not speak. Every scientific document, every colonial report, every piece of information said the same thing. Yet this creature had just spoken to him. What? Leo whispered. The karate struggled to lift its head. Pain flickered across its features, but it forced the word out again. Hide. They come. Leo's mind raced. Someone had shot this creature. Someone was hunting it. And that someone might be on their way right now. He looked at the pregnant belly, at the desperate eyes, at the blood pooling on his floor. Whatever this creature was, whatever secrets it carried, Leo made his decision in that moment. Okay, he said, I will hide you. But first, we need to stop this bleeding. The karate made a sound that might have been relief. Its head lowered back to the ground. Exhausted from the effort of speaking, Leo worked through the night. He stitched wounds with fishing line. He set the broken leg using pipe and wire. He covered the creature with thermal blankets to keep it warm against the storm's cold. By morning, the ion storm had passed. The karate was still alive, though barely. And Leo Hartwell, simple mechanic on a forgotten mining colony, had just become involved in something far bigger than fixing drilling equipment that he did not know about the syndicate yet. He did not know about the centuries of slavery. He did not know that this single act of kindness would change the course of his life forever. All he knew was that a creature in pain had asked him for help. And humans, real humans, do not turn away from that. 3 days passed since the storm. The karate was healing slowly, hidden in the maintenance tunnels beneath Leo's repair shop. He had carried her down there himself, struggling under her weight, but refusing to give up. Leo had started calling her Sarah. She needed a name, and the silver color of her fur reminded him of moonlight. Sarah did not object when he used it. Communication was difficult at first. Sarah knew only a handful of words in Galactic Standard, and Leo knew nothing of her language. They used gestures, drawings in the dirt, and patience. Lots of patience. On the 4th day, Sarah managed to explain where she came from. Ship, she said, pointing upward. Gotta go. Not crew. Gotta go. Leo felt his stomach turn. He had seen trafficking operations during his military days. Weapons, drugs, sometimes people. But he had never imagined someone trafficking an entire species. You were a prisoner? He asked. Sarah nodded slowly. The movement was human, learned from watching him. Her own species probably communicated differently. Many karate, she continued. All prisoners. Long time. Very long time. She scratched numbers into the dirt floor. Leo counted them and felt his blood run cold. 200 years. Her people have been slaves for 200 years. But you escaped, Leo said. Sarah touched her belly where her pups grew. For them, de-slave or die free. Choose free. Leo understood. She had risked everything so her children would not be born into chains. That kind of courage was rare in any species. Over the following days, Sarah taught Leo more about her people. The karate were not animals. They were fully sentient, with their own language, culture, and history. Before the syndicate came, they had lived in tribes across their homeworld, hunting and raising families in peace. The syndicate changed everything. They had technology the karate could not fight. Within a generation, the entire species was conquered. Now they were bred and sold as living weapons. Guards for rich criminals. Hunting beasts for sport. Attack dogs for anyone who could pay. But you can speak, Leo said. The others cannot. Sarah touched the back of her neck. There was a small scar there, barely visible beneath her fur. Implant, she explained. Makes mine small. Cannot think. Cannot speak. Only obey. She had removed her own implant. Leo did not want to imagine how painful that must have been. Self, Sarah said, tapping the scar. Cut out self. Hurt very much. But now I think. Now I remember. Leo was about to ask more questions when he heard footsteps above. Heavy boots on concrete. Multiple people. He motioned for Sarah to stay silent and climbed up into his shop. 3 Colonial Patrol officers stood near the front entrance, looking around at his equipment. Can I help you? Leo asked, keeping his voice calm. The lead officer was a tall woman with suspicious eyes. We are searching for dangerous wildlife. Sensors picked up a large creature near the colony perimeter during the storm. Have you seen anything unusual? Leo shrugged. Storm knocked out my sensors. I spent most of it huddled in the back, hoping my roof would hold. The officer studied him for a long moment. This creature is extremely dangerous. Karate-class predator. If you see anything, report immediately. Do not approach. Understood, Leo said. I will keep my eyes open. The officers left, but Leo noticed one of them glancing back at his shop as they walked away. They were not convinced. He waited until they were gone, then returned to the tunnels. Sarah was pressed against the far wall, her eyes wide with fear. They search, she whispered. They always search. Syndicate pays them. The colonial officers work for the syndicate. Some, not all, but some. Sarah's voice was bitter. Syndicate has money. Money buys anything. Leo sat down beside her. The situation was more dangerous than he had realized. He was not just hiding an escaped slave. He was hiding her from people with power and resources far beyond his own. "We need to get you off this planet," he said. "Cannot fly. Cannot walk far." Sarah touched her swollen belly. "Pups come soon. Very soon." As if to prove her point, she suddenly gasped. Her whole body tensed, and she let out a low moan of pain. Leo recognized the signs immediately. "You are having contractions." Sarah nodded, her breathing fast and shallow. "Too early. Stress makes early. Pups coming now." Leo looked around the dirty maintenance tunnel. No medical equipment. No veterinary supplies. No help coming. "Okay," he said, trying to sound confident. "I have delivered calves on my uncle's farm." "How different can this be?" Sarah made a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been a sob. "Very different, human. Very different." But she reached out and gripped his hand with her massive paw. Her claws could have sliced through his flesh easily, but her touch was gentle. "Thank you," she said, "for helping, for hiding, for staying." Leo squeezed back. "That is what humans do. Now, let us bring your pups into the world." Outside, the colonial officers were still searching. The syndicate ship was still in orbit. And somewhere in the darkness, hunters were preparing to track their escaped property. But in that moment, none of it mattered. Only the new lives about to begin. The birth took 7 hours. Leo had never worked so hard in his life. Sarah guided him with words and gestures when she could, but mostly she focused on breathing through the pain. Karate births were not meant to happen in dirty tunnels with only a human mechanic for help. The first pup came just after midnight. A tiny creature covered in wet silver fur, eyes closed, mewling softly. Leo cleaned it with a rag and placed it against Sarah's belly where it could feel her warmth. "A female," Sarah whispered, exhausted but smiling. "Strong." The second pup arrived an hour later. Another female, slightly smaller than her sister, but equally healthy. She cried louder than the first, announcing her presence to the world. But the third pup was different. That IT came out silent and still. Leo's heart dropped when he saw it. The tiny male was not breathing. His fur was darker than his sister's, almost gray, and his body was limp. "No sera monde. No, no, no." Leo grabbed the pup and cleared its airway. Nothing. He rubbed its chest, trying to stimulate breathing. Still nothing. The pup was dying in his hands. Think, Leo told himself. What would help? He remembered the oxygen concentrator he had built last year for a miner with lung problems. It was still in his workshop, gathering dust. And the heating unit he used for cold starting engines could provide warmth. "Hold on," he told Sarah. "I will be right back." He ran upstairs, grabbed both devices, and returned in minutes. Working frantically, he modified the oxygen concentrator to deliver a gentle flow of air. He positioned the heating unit to warm the small space around the pup. For 20 minutes, Leo breathed for the tiny creature. He pumped its chest. He refused to give up, and then, finally, a cough. A gasp. A thin, weak cry. The pup was alive. Sarah wept openly, tears streaming down her furred face. She pulled all 3 pups close, nuzzling them with desperate love. "You saved him," she said to Leo. "You saved my son." Leo sat back, exhausted but relieved. "He saved himself. I just gave him a chance." Sarah looked at the small gray pup, still weak but breathing steadily now. "His name will be Grit. Human word. Means strength when everything is hard." Leo smiled. "That is a good name." As dawn approached, Sarah finally rested. Her pups nursed quietly, making soft sounds of contentment. Leo watched them and felt something strange in his chest. Pride, maybe, or hope. He was not sure. "I must tell you everything now," Sarah said suddenly. "You have earned truth." She told him about the Syndicate, a criminal empire that controlled dozens of systems in the Outer Rim. They dealt in weapons, drugs, and slaves. The karate were their most valuable product. "We are bred like animals," Sarah explained. "Selected for size, for strength, for aggression. The implants make us obedient. We become tools." "But you remember," Leo said, "before the implants, your people had their own civilization." "Yes, we had songs, stories, laws. We had dreams." Sarah's voice broke. They took everything, made us forget, made our children forget. Each generation knows less than the one before. Leo felt anger rising in his chest. He had seen evil during his military service. He thought he understood how cruel the galaxy could be. But this was something worse. This was the systematic destruction of an entire people. Why does no one stop them, he asked. Who would care? We are animals to them. Beasts. Property. Sarah looked at her sleeping pups. Only humans have ever treated us differently. What do you mean? Old stories. Before I was born, a human scientist found captured karate. Try to prove we were sentient. Try to free us. Scifistories. Syndicate killed him. Killed everyone who knew. Made sure the truth stayed hidden. Leo understood now why Sarah had come to a human colony. Why she had risked everything to reach this place. She believed humans might help where others would not. That he hoped she was right. That a sudden beeping interrupted his thoughts. It came from a small device tangled in the rags Sarah had been wearing when he found her. What is that? Leo asked. Sarah's eyes went wide with terror. Beacon. Tracking beacon. I did not know. Hidden in my... She did not finish. The beeping stopped, replaced by a single steady tone. Signal sent. Location transmitted. Leo grabbed the device and crushed it under his boot, but he knew it was too late. The message had already reached its destination. They are coming, Sarah whispered, pulling her pups closer. The syndicate knows where I am. Leo looked at the mother and her newborn children. 3 tiny lives, barely hours old. They had done nothing wrong except be born. He was not going to let anyone take them. Then we need to be ready, he said grimly, because I'm not letting them have you. Leo spent the next 12 hours preparing for war. He welded sheets of metal over the windows of his shop. He rigged alarms at every entrance. He gathered every weapon he could find, which was not many. A plasma cutter, a nail gun, some mining explosives that were probably past their safe date. That IT would have to be enough. His first call went to Riva Cross. She answered on the 3rd ring, her face appearing on his battered communication screen. She looked older than he remembered, with new scars and tired eyes. Leo Hartwell, she said. I thought you were dead. Not yet, but I might be soon. I need extraction. Riva raised an eyebrow. Extraction? From Kessel. 7? What kind of trouble did you find? Leo told her everything. The karate, the pups, the syndicate. Riva listened without interrupting. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. You always did have a talent for finding problems, she finally said. Can you help? I am 3 systems away. 48 hours minimum, even if I push my engines to breaking. She paused. You will need to survive that long. I know. The syndicate does not play nice, Leo. They will send hunters. Professional ones. I know that too. Riva sighed. Hold tight. I am coming. The screen went dark. 48 hours. Leo looked around his fortified shop and wondered if it would be enough time. The hunters arrived the next morning. Leo watched them through a crack in his metal shutters. 3 figures walked down the main street of the colony, moving with the confidence of people who knew they were dangerous. Point 2 were human. They wore black tactical gear and carried military-grade weapons. Professionals, just like Riva had warned. The 3rd figure made Leo's blood freeze. That IT was a karate. Bigger than Sarah, with dark fur and eyes that held no light. It walked beside the humans like a trained dog, following their commands without hesitation. Implanted, Sarah whispered from beside him. She had insisted on seeing the hunters herself. That one cannot think, cannot choose, only obeys. Leo watched the enslaved karate sniff the air. Its ears rotated, searching for sounds. Hunting. Can it track you here? Eventually. My scent is everywhere now. But the colony has many smells. It will take time. Time was something they did not have much of. The lead hunter, a tall man with a shaved head, stopped in the middle of the street. He pulled out a communicator and spoke into it. Leo could not hear the words, but he saw several colonists pointing toward different areas. They are asking questions, Leo said. Offering rewards? Probably. Syndicate has much money. People talk for money. Leo thought about his neighbors. Most were good people, hard workers. But everyone had debts on a frontier colony. Everyone had something they needed. Would someone give up Sarah for the right price? He had to assume yes. We need to move you, Leo said. Find a better hiding spot. Cannot move far. Pup's too young. I am still weak. Sarah's voice was steady, but Leo heard the fear beneath it. We fight here or we die here. Leo nodded slowly. He had been in bad situations before. This was worse than most. But he had also learned something important during his military years. When everything seems impossible, focus on the next step. Then the step after that. Keep moving forward until you cannot move anymore. Okay, he said. Then we make this place a fortress. He spent the rest of the day creating distractions. He planted false scent trails around the colony, using rags Sarah had touched. He set up noisemakers in abandoned buildings. He spread rumors through carefully chosen contacts about karate sightings in different locations. The hunters followed some of these trails. The enslaved karate grew confused by the cross scents. It bought them precious hours, but Leo knew it would not last forever on the second night. The hunters grew tired of searching. The man with the shaved head gathered his team in the colony square. He pulled out a device and pressed a button. The enslaved karate suddenly went rigid. Its head snapped toward Leo's shop, and it began walking directly toward the building. What is happening? Leo asked. Sarah's face was grim. Override command. The implant forces maximum effort. That karate will track until it finds me or dies trying. The hunter was no longer sniffing randomly. It moved with terrible purpose, cutting through all of Leo's false trails, heading straight for the truth. How long? Hours. Maybe less. Leo grabbed his weapons. Then we do not have time to wait for Riva. We make our stand tonight. Sarah rose to her feet, still weak but determined. I will not let them take my children. No, Leo agreed. We will not. Outside, the enslaved karate drew closer, and Leo prepared to fight for lives that were not his own, against enemies he barely understood, for reasons he could not fully explain, because that was what humans did. The enslaved karate broke through the back wall just after midnight. Leo had expected an attack on the doors. He had reinforced them with triple locks and metal bracing. But the creature simply smashed through the thin wall panels like they were paper. Its name was Vorn. Leo would learn this later. For now, it was just a monster filling his workshop with rage and violence. Leo fired his plasma cutter at the beast. The beam scored across Vorn's shoulder, burning fur and flesh. The karate did not even slow down. It slammed into Leo with the force of a crashing vehicle, sending him flying across the room, but he hit the wall hard. Stars exploded in his vision. His ribs screamed in protest. Vorn advanced, teeth bared, ready to kill. Stop, Leo shouted, holding up his empty hands. You do not have to do this. The karate paused. Something flickered in its dead eyes. Confusion, maybe, or pain. They control you, Leo continued, speaking fast. The implant in your head. It makes you their slave. But you are more than that. You are karate. Your people had songs and stories once. They had dreams. Vorn shook his massive head. A low whine escaped his throat. There's a female here. Her name is Sarah. She removed her implant. She can think again. She can speak. Leo took a careful step forward. She has 3 pups, born just days ago. They do not have implants. They are free. Vorn's ears flattened. His eyes darted around the room, searching. You could be free too, Leo said. You could remember who you are. The karate stood frozen, caught between programmed commands and something deeper. Something the implant could not quite erase. Then Sarah appeared. She emerged from the tunnel entrance, moving slowly, painfully. But her head was high and her voice was strong. She spoke in the karate language. Leo did not understand the words, but he understood the tone. She was calling to Vorn, reaching out to the person buried beneath the slavery. Vorn turned to face her. His whole body trembled. Sarah kept speaking. She moved closer, showing no fear. She touched her nose to Vorn's snout in what seemed like a greeting, and Vorn broke that a sound came from him that was not a growl or a roar. It was a sob, the sound of someone waking from a nightmare they could not escape. The front door exploded inward. The handler stepped through, weapon raised. He saw Vorn standing beside Sarah instead of attacking her, and his face twisted with anger. "Stupid animal," he spat. "Override Code 7. Kill them all." Vorn screamed as the implant activated. His muscles locked. His mind burned. The command tore through his consciousness like fire. Kill them all. Kill them all. Kill them all. But Sarah stood before him. Free. Alive. The first free karate he had ever seen. Vorn made his choice. He turned and lunged at the handler. The man was fast. He dodged the first strike and fired his weapon into Vorn's chest. Blood sprayed across the workshop floor. But Vorn kept coming. His jaws closed around the handler's arm. Bones crunched. The man screamed. Leo moved without thinking. He grabbed the plasma cutter and fired at the back of Vorn's neck, aiming for the implant. It was a desperate shot, more luck than skill. The implant exploded in a shower of sparks. Vorn released the handler and collapsed. His breathing was ragged, his chest wound pumping blood. But his eyes were different now. Clear, present, aware, free, he whispered. The first word he had spoken in years. The handler tried to crawl away. Leo stepped on his injured arm. "Where are the other hunters?" he demanded. The man snarled. "It does not matter. The ship already knows. They will send more. You cannot win." "Maybe not," Leo said, "but you will not be there to see it." He knocked the handler unconscious with a single punch. Sarah was already beside Vorn, examining his wounds. They were bad. Without proper medical care, he would not survive. "Leave me," Vorn said weakly. "Take pups. Run." "No," Leo said firmly. "I am dying, human. You waste time." Leo knelt beside the wounded karate. "Where I come from, we have a saying. No one gets left behind. You are with us now. That means you are our people." Vorn stared at him with something like wonder. "Humans are strange." "Yes," Leo agreed. "We are." He began treating Vorn's wounds, working with the same determination he had shown when saving Sarah's pup. Behind him, Sarah watched the human struggle to save someone who had been sent to kill them all. She finally understood what made humans different, that IT was not their strength or their technology. It was their stubborn, irrational, beautiful refusal to give up on anyone, even enemies, even monsters, even slaves who had forgotten they were people. Humans saw something worth saving in everyone, and that made them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Riva's ship broke through the clouds like a falling star. Leo heard the engines before he saw the vessel. A battered cargo hauler, painted black and gray, descending toward the colony landing pad. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. "She is here," he told Sarah. "We need to move." The next few minutes were chaos. Leo carried Vorn on his back. The wounded karate was barely conscious, too weak to walk, but too stubborn to die. Sarah followed close behind, her 3 pups clutched gently in her jaws. The Syndicate ship in orbit had noticed Riva's arrival. It was already moving to intercept. "We have maybe 10 minutes, Riva shouted through Leo's communicator. "Whatever you are bringing, bring it fast." They ran through the colony streets. A few colonists saw them and stared. A man carrying a bleeding alien wolf. A mother with babies in her teeth. Another massive predator stumbling behind them, and one tried to stop them. Whether from fear or sympathy, Leo did not know. The Syndicate ship opened fire when they were halfway to the landing pad. Plasma bolts rained down from the sky, blasting craters in the dirt road. Leo dove behind a supply crate, shielding Vorn with his body. "They will destroy the whole colony to get us," Sarah said grimly. Leo looked at the mining facility to his left. They were a processing plant, filled with volatile chemicals and heavy machinery. A plan formed in his desperate mind. "Get to the ship," he told Sarah. "I will buy you time." "How?" "By being very stupid." He sprinted toward the processing plant before she could argue. Behind him, Sarah gathered Vorn and continued toward Riva's ship. The processing plant was automated, running day and night with minimal supervision. Leo knew these machines. He had repaired them dozens of times. He knew exactly how to make them fail. That he reached the main control panel and began entering commands. Override safety protocols. Increase pressure in the chemical tanks. Redirect power to the magnetic containment fields. The building began to shake. Leo ran. The explosion happened 30 seconds later. A massive fireball erupted from the processing plant, sending debris flying in all directions. The shockwave knocked Leo off his feet, but more importantly, it knocked out the colony's sensor grid. For a few precious minutes, the Syndicate ship was flying blind. Riva used those minutes well. Her cargo hauler swept down to the landing pad, ramp already lowering. Sarah bounded aboard with her pups. Two colonists Leo did not recognize helped drag Vorn inside. Leo reached the ramp just as the Syndicate ship regained its sensors. Plasma fire scorched the ground behind him. "Go!" he screamed. Riva punched the engines. The cargo hauler lifted off in a storm of dust and heat. Below them, the colony grew smaller. The Syndicate ship tried to follow, but Riva knew tricks they did not. She dove into a canyon network, weaving between rock walls at impossible speeds. The larger Syndicate vessel could not follow. By the time they reached open sky, they had enough lead to make the jump to light speed. Space stretched and twisted around them. Stars became lines of light, and then they were gone, hurtling through the void towards safety in the cargo hold. Leo finally allowed himself to breathe. Sarah sat in the corner with her pups. They were nursing peacefully, unaware of how close they had come to losing everything. Little Grit, the gray one Leo had saved, was the most active of the three. Already exploring, already curious. Vorn lay on a medical cot, his wounds bandaged properly now. He would survive. The road to recovery would be long, but he would walk it as a free being. "I owe you my life," Vorn said quietly. "I owe you more than I can ever repay." "Then pay it forward," Leo replied. "Help others like yourself. Help your people remember who they are." Vorn closed his eyes. "I will. I swear it." Riva appeared in the doorway. "We are clear. Syndicate cannot track us through hyperspace." She looked at Leo's strange passengers and shook her head. "You really know how to make things complicated." "Apparently. I know people who fight the Syndicate. A resistance network. They could use someone like you." She paused. "They could use all of you." Leo looked at Sarah and her pups. At Vorn, finally free. At the stars streaming past the viewport. He had spent years hiding from responsibility, running from his past, pretending he could live a simple life on a forgotten colony. That life was over now. "I am in," he said. Sarah moved to his side. Her pups made small sounds of contentment. She looked at Leo with something like wonder. "Why?" she asked. "Why risk everything for strangers?" Leo smiled. "Where I come from, the measure of a person is not what they can take. It is what they are willing to give." The ship flew on through the endless dark. Inside, a human, 3 adult karate, and 3 newborn pups traveled toward an uncertain future. But for the first time in 200 years, the karate had something they had lost: hope, and the humans who had given it to them.